So as we gear up and ramp up closer to Borderlands 4's launch just in September, Gearbox and 2K have been dropping information for us. This is mainly through their social platforms as well as their Beyond the Borderlands series. The most recent one, this one being series number 2, specifically titled Welcome to Kairos. In this video, the topic encompasses the planet of Kairos, its factions, as well as its different zones within the open world and the leaders that control them. I do want to preface, most of you guys know this by now, but whether you're a veteran of the series or completely new to the Borderlands franchise, the development team has stated time and time again, you do not have to play any of the titles in the franchise in order to enjoy and understand what's going on in Borderlands 4. Although I highly recommend that you do so because there are returning players, returning concepts, and backstories that will be brought up in Borderlands 4, and knowing a little bit of backstory and understanding different components of returning characters that we will see in Borderlands 4, I feel will help the experience overall. Plus, the Borderlands titles are absolutely amazing. First off, as we know, the setting is on the planet Kairos. This is going to be a new planet we've never seen in the franchise. As we know, Elpis has now appeared in the sky, and Kairos is completely locked down. It's essentially a prison planet that is ruled by the dictator known as the Timekeeper. Timekeeper thrives on control and order over this planet. Now, this planet always wasn't like this, but has started to become this way. The Timekeeper has a bigger grasp on the different areas of the planet. Control this chaos and the control over the Timekeeper, it puts the planet under martial law. A lot of the communities are split up into factions. Timekeeper uses a mechanism of control over the people with a system called the Bolt. This is a cybernetic implant that is installed at the base of the neck. It's used to monitor activities, shut individuals down completely, and let the Timekeeper see through people's eyes at will. It's basically a way for him to maintain not only control and order, but as well as maintain surveillance throughout the different zones and factions of the planet. Now, the resistance and the backlash of the community began before the Vault Hunters appeared on Kairos, but we do know that we do eventually crash land. We do get drawn into the fight against the Timekeeper. It's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out because we basically are a Vault Hunter. We don't really know why we're there, how we got there, and what our purpose was and our goal when we first got to Kairos. But it seems like we're basically going to be thrown into the muck of it all, realizing that this planet is in full rebellion over a strong dictatorship. There's another group on the planet. There's another group on the planet called the Outbounders. They also crash landed and are unable to leave due to the lockdown because Kairos has a force field style thing around it, surrounding it. And when Elpis did appear in the sky, it broke that veil, giving us the ability to then get onto the planet. People still do not have any means to escape because lack of technology, materials, and goods to build up a ship and have a chance to leave the planet. Now, the Outbounders, like I said, are not from Kairos. They crash landed as well, and they're desperate to return home. They're ripe for revolution, and they're led by Rush, this character that kind of reminds me of Marcus. You do see him. He seems like a happy-go-lucky guy. He's like a coach-type leader, and he eventually will join the Crimson Resistance after the Vault Hunters arrive. So we're basically going to be forming a team with the Outbounders, Vault Hunters, to create this new resistance. I'm sure this is also going to be led by Moxie, Zane, and other returning characters that we do see, and this will basically be our main faction that we're going to be a part of to take on the Timekeeper, all the leaders and other factions throughout the planet. So far, we do know of a few zones. There may be more. They may have not spoken of all of them. It's going to be exciting to see for the first time the franchise is attempting an open world, and I think this is a great take for Borderlands. We've never seen it before. You know, we've had massive open sections for Borderlands 2, 3, whatever it may be, and going to different planets, but in this one, it's going to be one gigantic planet that's going to be seamless, minimal to no loading times, and each section and zone of the planet is going to have a tier system to it, so there's going to be levels based off of where you are. So if you travel to an area that is somewhat off the beaten path, you may encounter enemies that are 10, 50 higher than you. But it's awesome to see that this is the route that they're going for Borderlands 4, and I'm super excited to see how it's going to pan out. We do know some of, if not all of the different zones. One is going to be the Fade Fields. This zone is specifically ran by Idolater Saul. He was a former city resident, and he wants to be the Timekeeper's right-hand man, so he's doing whatever he can to prove himself to take over and reign control over a big section and territory over in Kairos. He views his exile from the main city as a chance to prove his loyalty. It's interesting to see that there is a big city in Kairos, and he's been exiled. Another one of the commanders have been exiled. Is this going to be an area that we can go that is actually not ran by the Timekeeper and the Resistance has held its ground in that area? We don't know too much about that. We're going to have to see how that's going to pan out. But all of these zones are going to be ran by a commander, and it's going to be interesting to see because we do know the story, the way it's going to plan out is not going to be linear. You can take on different objectives at any time. You could take on story missions at any time, side quests. There's going to be world events and things like that. But we do know that there will be, one general path that is the way to progress the story. And what it seems like is we're going to go into each zone progressively getting harder, fighting different enemy types with the ability to get higher level loot, taking out these commanders as we go. The next zone we do know, this is the Augurs. This is like the mountain faction. These are descendants of the original mining teams that are on Kairos. They mine ores that are on the planet. Their faction leader is Calder. Now he wants to fight the Timekeeper. He is a council member and he fears taking action, but he does want to be part of the resistance and take out the Timekeeper. He's going to be in the Terminus Range section of the map. Next off, we have Terminus Range, the snowy mountain section of Kairos. Their commander is Violichter. This is a boss that we've seen. He looks absolutely crazy, like a tentacle guy. He's an augur experimenting with Uridium since Elpis has arrived, and he's using Uridium without the Timekeeper knowing, and kind of playing with it and doing scientific experiments to see different outcomes that he can make. It does seem like he does have powers that are Uridium based. We're going to have to see how that pans out, but basically we'll see him in this clip and he looks like he has like a glow on him. He's purple, looks Uridium based. It looks like he may be powered by Uridium. He's operating secretly under Timekeeper's radar. So he's not necessarily working with the Timekeepers per se. So he's almost his separate entity, just, doing his little scientific experiments on the side. Next off, we have Electic Faction. This is led by Golden Levain. This is one of the main characters that we saw from one of the earliest showcases of the title. She was a former elite upper class from the city. Again, another member from the city who got exiled out. She must learn how to survive like the rest because she came from the upper class. She didn't have struggles. She didn't have things like that. So she's created somewhat of an army, a group to survive on the planet. If we have Katia Byrne, the ruler of this area and territory is the most interesting. This is ruled by the Ripper Queen. We've seen her in many of the showcases. She was transformed after Elpis's arrival, and she decides to rip out her own bolt to break free. So she's not with the Timekeeper, but she's not with anybody, and she's technically like a neutral enemy because she's just basically insane from ripping out your bolt because either you can die or you have a high chance of going insane. And this is where our bandit style faction comes in for Borderlands 4. She recruits people, forces them to rip out their bolt. If they do it, they can do it voluntarily, or she will then do it for you. And this is where we get our bandit group of enemies. We do see that a lot of these enemies do seem to have somewhat of this robotic elements to them, as we see the big skull with the spider legs. Her herself, she has these gigantic spider legs. Just the bandits overall, they have robotic arms and things like that. And she generally leads the army of mad broken soldiers. Some willingly to remove the bolts, like I said. Others are forcibly unbolted by her. Now the main villain, as we know, is the Timekeeper. He's the central antagonist of Borderlands 4. The thing is, he's designed to feel ever present and terrifying. We're not going to encounter him for quite some time in the title. He probably will be saved for endgame. It's basically him controlling Kairos and the different territories from his tower, because he will have his own base of operations on the map that will be his hub, that will be where he's hiding out and doing his surveillance through all the inhabitants on Kairos. The crack in his control slowly becomes visible over time. His grip on Kairos begins to weaken, and I think this is how we're going to be going through the different territories, taking out the different commanders, slowly weakening his control over the planet, eventually to then get to him, to then terminate him. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, you do not need to be a veteran of this series or a returning player to enjoy and understand what's going on. Borderlands 4 is going to be a massive turning point in the universe overall for the Borderlands franchise. New players are completely welcome. No prior Borderlands experience is needed. It contains strong connections to previous titles, but it is not necessary to fully understand what is going to be going on in the backstories that have happened from the previous games. It brings back plenty of fan favorite elements from the early games, as well as characters, and it's set on an entirely new planet with biggest scope Borderlands has ever done for any of its titles. Biggest thing for me and the takeaways from everything that we've seen up until this point, and now seeing like a general overview of the planet, it's gonna be super awesome to see again an open world Borderlands. It seems like all these different territories and zones are gonna be fleshed out kind of like how a general planet would be that we've seen in other titles. You're gonna have the Fade Fields, which is your farming area. You're gonna have the Augurs, which is the mountain faction, the mining area. You're gonna have different areas of the planet that were ran by different parts of the community to help the planet, help the planet succeed, ultimately pushing, ultimately pushing the upper class in the main city to continue their status. So it's gonna be cool to be going through these different zones and seeing these completely different biomes, different worlds, different characters, different enemy types. And with it being faction based, we're going to see a bigger variety than we've ever seen before in the franchise when it comes to weapons, when it comes to enemy types, and when it comes to world build variety. This is just a general overview of the most recent diary update for Borderlands, Beyond the Borderlands. Super excited about this title, guys. We do not have a long ways to go. Let me know what you guys are most excited for Borderlands 4, what you're most skeptical about, and what you want to return or come to the game that has not been announced so far. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like on it and subscribe. We're so close to 10,000 subscribers. They're gearing up for the launch of Borderlands 4. We're going to be covering it so much here on the channel. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and as always, stay happy, stay hyped, and have a beautiful day.